I'm on auto hoax and it feels so good. You just auto believe everything like I knew that you would. In my dream, you know I ain't got time, baby, for another crisis actor with soulless eyes.
My buddy and me.
Telecommunications Act of 1996.
96, y'all.
Gonna filter your eyes and scrub your mind. The weatherman, he's just another bad joke. You can be a doomed little donkey like Eeyore. I'm gonna be an auto hoax, and it feels so good. You just auto believe everything like I knew that you would. In my dream, you know I ain't got time, baby, for another crisis actor with soulless eyes. Ain't got no heart, ain't got no soul. Food, water, weather, maps, TV, bones, books, secrets, symbols, numbers, planets, etc. Nobody got no heart.
You're listening to Chief Crow and the Flat Earth Worms, Auto Hoax. Really the soundtrack for the post-brainwashed life that you enjoy once you've stripped away the mainstream media filters and all of its psychodramas from your frame of reference. That's why the song is so peaceful. The news wants you to think that conspiracy theorists are histrionics, like Alex Jones. Just spazzes, freaking out, run for the hills, Bubba effect. But no, if you really know what's going on, you're exceptionally calm. Alright, let me see who's joining us here. It's early. It's probably been just a little over 12 hours since our last live stream. We're joined here by Tech Inc., Thirst for Truth, Rocco Calzone, Matt89, P Trippa 103, Frank Mir, OG Fepe, Cubstar, Delightfully Not says, "Are we live? Please, Lord." Yes, praise Nipsey, we are live. Alright, let's go. Thirst for Truth says, "Actors stick together, Hicks Stein, 99. Yeah, I actually thought there was some sort of a familial resemblance there between Alex Stein, Infowars' Alex Jones / Bill Hicks, and it's because they're both comedians. They're part of the same little part of the country there. They're in Austin or something. They have a lot in common. And Alex Stein is a comedian who became a truth in like 2016, so he's a comedian first. And I think he's legitimate. I mean, he is, but although he seems to have dropped the whole flat earth topic. I don't know if the guy was ever flat earth, but since you brought him up, he was actually on Infowars. So Texas rapper whose video went #1 in the world joins Alex Jones to tell the rest of the story. So he was on Alex Jones today. He's going to be on tomorrow, Sunday actually. I think it was yesterday he was on. He's going to be on Sunday in studio. And look, I made this prediction. When he did that first video about wanting to be vaxxed in his thong, this is the guy who raps at the city council, and I say rap in quotes. I don't believe the guy is a rapper. I mean, I shouldn't judge. I mean, okay, rap. I mean, he's not a great rapper. I'll say that. Who am I to judge? The internet thinks he's great. So, rapper Alex Stein slash comedian slash truther has been on Alex Jones because of this. But when he first went viral for this, it was a rap about getting vaxxed in his thong and getting vaxxed all night long. Just the rhymes were really kind of basic, but whatever. It got the attention because the people who were pro-vax thought he was on their side, and they love cringe. There's nothing the pro-vaxxers love more than pro-cringe vax uh, anything really, but rap. They had that one song, Dr. Fauci, Send Me a Vax. Horrible stuff. That stuff will kill you before COVID. I mean, let me play that clip really quick here. Dr. Fauci cringe song. That's probably all I need to type. So anyway, they thought that Alex Stein was on their side, and so it kind of inadvertently went mega viral. And when that came out, I said, this is going to end up on Tucker Carlson. That was a prediction I made, and I think it's going to come true. Anyway, this is Dr. Fauci song. This is even cringier than Stein's rapping. And again, I mean, I appreciate the arts, rap, music, whatever. And I think it's a fair criticism. I think it's intended. I think it's actually cringe-ertainment. It's not an offensive thing to say, hey, this is some really cringe stuff, especially today. I was actually thinking about, what was it? There was this Corey Feldman performance thing he did that I watched just out of sheer cringe-ertainment value. It is a thing. All right, while this Dr. Fauci song plays, I'm going to go ahead and make sure I got all my notifications sent. A lot of you should have got text message notifications. I'm expecting a swarm to show up any second now. And also those of you who've been on our newsletter, you're also getting the notifications. OJ Fepe says, cringe is so hot right now. Well, here you go. Hotness.
Dr. Fauci, give us vaccines. Help all the people who have been quarantined. We'll wear our masks and we'll have to stay distant. We'll wash our hands and we'll be more resistant. Fauci, yes? Promise us, please. We'll have a cure that can fight off this disease. Restrictions will lift with some ease. Dr. Fauci, don't forget me.
Fire. And listen how they're all clapping.
Thank you.
So they heard Texas rapper Alex Stein 99, and they went crazy and they shared the crap out of it. Well, it turns out he's actually not on their side. He was being sarcastic, but they can't tell sarcasm. The AI, the censors, the snowflakes, they don't know if you're being sarcastic. That's why they hate memes. They can't tell if you're laughing at them or with them. So anyway, he went out and he did another rap. This second one he did, let me go ahead and bring up what he did if you haven't seen this yet. Alex Stein makes TMZ for a city council rap about putting a bullet in Putin's head. So he did another rap, this time pretending to be pro-Ukraine, because the pro-vax thing just became pro-Ukraine. I was saying how these things they swap out these psyops so easily. It's just like a radical Islam cured by COVID. Now COVID cured by Putin. So what's going to cure Putin? Not sure yet. But anyway, rapper tells his story on Alex Jones. Let me go ahead and play a clip here. I'm sorry, I just can't believe he gets the title viral rapper. I mean, I guess he's more legitimate than some other rappers.
Humanity has awoken to the fact that iodine is key in our bodies for our immune systems and more. And we have the best.
Okay, I called that too. I said that Bill Hicks is going to be selling iodine because of the whole nuke thing. Every time there's a nuke scare, they start selling iodine because supposedly it will protect you from the radioactive fallout. Okay, so this is from banned video. I'm not going to play very much of it. In fact, I'm not going to play any of it. I'm just going to give you a link here. But basically, Alex Stein of Conspiracy Castle joins Alex Jones to break down how he uses entertainment to expose the globalist-controlled demolition of America. And, it's really hard to deny that this is a an effective way to reach the masses. The people. This is the TikTok is how you reach people, and he cracked the matrix.
You know the flow. And I am a pimp. Cause I am on the blim. Eating lots of steak and shrimp. One more time, I 99. And you know I grind and shine. Gas price is way too high. Vladimir Putin needs to die. Gas price is way too high. Vladimir needs to die.
And then he starts taking his clothes off, and they have to sit there deadpanning it. These city council members, they can't laugh, they can't give in. So it's basically performance art in front of a captive audience, and I'm not really opposed to this. It's better than other performance art of the day, like Abramovich with smearing things on the walls. That this to me is art. So I can tweet this. I'll share this. But all right, let's see. God was bored says someday the bots will figure out sarcasm, and we're probably helping them to do it right now. Yeah, I know. And I read somewhere, and I didn't get into this yesterday, but I think there was something about the smiley face emoji or laughing emoji being banned because it's being used for hate. So it's being used ironically. Is the laughing emoji being canceled? The most popular yet most hated face emoji on the keyboard. So apparently the crying emoji is, I'm not sure if it's a hate speech or whatever, but it says, sorry, this laughing emoji isn't cool anymore. People ask, is it uncool to use the laughing emoji? Now, I don't know if it's why it's being canceled, but I think it's because it's suggested that it's been turned into an emoji of hate, like it's a mocking laugh. So yeah, they're gonna figure it out. Salty Siren says jazz hands, referring to Alex Stein. Jared says Jones has been pushing his iodine for years. Well, it started after Fukushima, the other 311. You had 311, 2011, you had the Fukushima meltdown thing, and Alex Jones is hyping up this idea that we need to just stock up on iodine. So it's like, okay, last week it was ivermectin. This week it's iodine. I see. Delightfully Not says iodine removes metals from the body. Right, but I don't believe in nukes. Does it remove CGI? Does it remove pixels? See, Pete Shea has just joined us in the Discord. He says, I'm listening to Tim from yesterday and leaving a comment. I might post here as well. Yeah, somebody tell Pete Shea we're live. Restless Bear says his execution needs to be much more polished. Yo, you know what, though? Let's go back to Alex Stein for just a moment. When he did his first video, he had some music to accompany his rapping, but it glitched. So he had to do it freestyle. And it worked. And, I remember thinking, okay, this is actually a blessing in disguise. Because now what he's done is he's given anybody the ability to remix it. Whereas if he had chosen something, it would have limited the thing. Plus, you'd have to deal with copyrights. So, no, I think it was smart to go a cappella. A cappella freestyling? I'm new to this. Maskless Face 08 says Stein needs to work on his cardio. That's a fair criticism there. Because he's going for 3 minutes straight, and there's no pause. Like it's been commented on. I mean, I think he's getting some level of respect. But now calling for the capping of Putin. Now that could be taken as a parody or as a joke, but if I were him, I wouldn't go to Russia. God was bored. Oh, great point. It's a Poe. Yeah, I was accused of being a Poe for a long time, and I was like, what the hell is a Poe? A Poe is a parody of extremism, and it's Poe's law. It's an adage of internet culture, and this is from God Was Bored in the comment section here. It's an adage of internet culture stating that without a clear indicator of the author's intent, every parody of extreme views can be mistaken for a sincere expression of the views parodied. So, just like with the Dr. Fauci "Give Me a Vax" cringe song, that was assumed to be authentic because of where he was. So they assume he's on our side, and it was the same with this guy. And parody of extremism is it's so close. It's like, no, I mean, like another good example there was that environmentalist who went out to AOC and said, "We have to eat the babies." Do you remember that one? And she said, "There's not enough time to go back." Here we go. Climate control activist confronts Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez during a town hall in Queens. And so she comes out talking about, we're running out of air, there's too many people, and there's not enough time to just eliminate us. So, I mean, this is before COVID, this is before they brought out Bill Gates again, and she's just suggesting that we need to start literally eating the babies. And the thing is, nobody in the room stopped her. Here she is talking to AOC. We need to eat the babies, and she's taken seriously. And the meaning of this, of course, is that this was a parody, because later it was discovered she was basically doing an Alex Stein. She's trolling.
Be here for much long because of the climate crisis. We only have a few months left. I love that you
She was doing Greta before Greta.
support the Green Deal, but it's not getting rid of fossil fuel. It's not going to solve the problem fast enough. A Swedish professor saying, we can eat dead people, but that's not fast enough. So I think your next campaign slogan has to be this: we got to start eating babies. We don't have enough time. There's too much CO2.
She suggests that as a campaign slogan. We got to start eating the babies. And AOC is back there, nodding her head. Eat the babies. That's very green. Recycle. Sustainable. Like she's considering it, because this is, again, as God was bored, suggests, this is Poe's law. And she just has to assume this is a sincere expression of our views.
To be this, we got to start eating babies. We don't have enough time. There's too much CO2. All of you're a pollutant. Too much CO2. We have to start now, please. You are so great. I'm so happy.
Look, nobody in the audience here has objected to her central premise of eating babies. I don't see anybody at all. No jaws are dropping. Most of them are just nodding in agreement. And this is, again, what happens when you're dealing with people who are having a very extreme view, and somebody on their fringe kind of goes a little overboard, and they don't know. They have no way of knowing for sure. Again, this is Poe's law. All right, let us continue. Thirst for Truth says, I'm pro-cringe. I've had years of experience listening to the Mandela effect. Oh yeah, the Ed McMahon effect, the Mandela effect, the Lidella effect. What are we going to call it? The misinformation effect, joined by JT33, Salty Siren, Travis Feet, Joe Ross, Sleepy Random. Sleepy Random says they want to cancel laughter. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is again, this is about controlling the flow of information, and they figured out what we've been already using for years here, is that you can pack truth in a meme. You can have memes and music, and comedy just happens to be a great vector, for ideas. And this is why comedians are always, I think, gatekeepers. The high-level comedians, I think, are very, very corralled. They're basically there like a limited hangout operation to put ideas out there that are just beyond the bounds of acceptable discourse, but not so far that they can't retain control over it. A case in point would be Dave Chappelle. There's a conspiracy theory that the guy was funny. I guess he's a comedian. Dave Chappelle does these comedy skits where all he does is he reinforces CNN psychological operations such as school shootings. You have all these fake school shootings to prop up the idea that we should all be afraid of white kids with AR-15s and bowl cuts. And he goes out on stage and he says, one good thing about COVID is there's no bowl cut shooters running around, shooting people. And I'm like, that joke only makes sense, and it's only funny if you're thoroughly brainwashed. But if you're not, the premise is just something you just reject on the face of it. So, and a lot of them have ceased to be funny, and they've just become total sellouts, government jesters. And this is true for all of the late night comedians as well. The Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, these guys are all very much there to reinforce the psyop of the day, politics of the day. Same with Colbert. They're so political. All right, let's see. Commenter says, is Russell Brand genuine? The guy with the 33 tattooed on his hand, doesn't he have that? Russell Brand is being described by the media as the Mad Hatter of conspiracies. He's gone over the edge. I would say that he's another one of these comedian limited hangout operatives who's been hired by the intel agencies to basically help gatekeep the sheep who are attracted to extreme or shocking ideas, or people who are just noticing irony. And this is, it's all, I think, part of a bigger pattern. Look how many comedians you can point at who have become not just like gatekeepers on conspiracy culture, but also examples for the media to point to as reasons why we need to censor the internet. Joe Rogan's a good example of this as well. And of course, Alex Jones, who made $165 million in Sex Scoop in the last 3 years and was still begging us for money to pay for his lawsuits after he backtracked on the whole Sandy Hooker story. Pete Shea says, great to catch Tim live. We let him back into the Discord server. I thought of Pete Shea because there was an article about how they're going to be resurrecting the dodo bird using some kind of genetics. Sounds all fake, genetic engineering, combining it with something else. I think they're going to combine it with a pigeon. The extinct flightless bird, the dodo, is going to be brought back. It's going to be revived. Here we go. They've scanned its DNA for the first time. The dodo genome is sequenced, raising hopes it can be brought back from extinction. And this is just a couple days ago. So I'm reading this, and I'm thinking about Pete Shea, who has really spent a lot of time researching this strange bird, and he shows up in my Discord server kind of on the random. I got to be careful about who I think about, because I swear I summon people. It really is like that at times. It seems like if I focus on someone, I think about someone, something's gonna. It's like well, I don't know. It's sometimes I almost feel like I'm neuralinked. Like I sense my notifications before I get them. OJ Fepe says, baby back ribs. Oh, a reference to the environmentalist. Yeah, this is also kind of a contradiction too. We're getting back to the environmentalist who wants to eat the babies. Because they're also trying to get us off of meat. So, it's like, this is a question I have. Can they justify eating human meat? Going green. And I think we're going into this area anyway. Soylent Green took place in 2022. And I think Disney right now is, they got off the pedo stuff, which is great. They're no longer trying to push that agenda as hard. And I think they've kind of veered into cannibalism, though. Critics pan Disney's disgusting new cannibal movie, Fresh. Sundance, Disney focuses its searchlight on horror, cannibalism, eating people. It's not parody or satire. Disney confusing people with new horror movie, Fresh. So it's a cannibal drama on Hulu that's out. I don't think I'm going to watch it, but I'm going to have to watch it now that I think about it. Because last year we were saying, what's 2022 going to bring? Well, Soylent Green. And yeah, it's quite literally happening, and Disney leads the way with everything. These are the people who shape our world. So yes, Disney-owned studio releasing cannibal horror movies. Cannibal fetish actor to appear in Disney film after being accused of raping and abusing multiple women. Consensualcannibalism.com. So I'm going into a side of the web I don't want to go into. Okay, so anyway, let's move on. Jai Christopher says, get in my belly. Dave Hoaxum says, she must be on all the normie meds. Well, no, the thing is, okay, so anyway, let me just play the rest of this clip, because I think it's great. It's great to point out that nobody questioned her. Kind of like nobody questioned Jussie Smollett, who's out of jail now. He's like, yeah, I just got lynched by some MAGAs. They don't bleach on me. They called me the N-word. They lynched me and I'm dead. And CNN is like, oh crap, Jussie Smollett got lynched. And they organized their mobs to go march. They're going to make some big grand statement. And then they find out it was a hoax. Then he goes to jail because it's actually a hate crime to falsify a hoax, falsify police reports, and scapegoat. And, it was basically a hate crime or something, a hate hoax. But then they let him out again. I mean, the whole thing is just so crazy. But anyway, let me play this. I'm just pointing out that nobody questioned Jussie Smollett because they liked what he was saying until they found out it was a hoax. Nobody is stopping this lady from talking about eating babies because they love it. And they didn't know it was a parody, a Poe.
We don't have enough time. There's too much CO2. All of you're a pollutant. Too much CO2. We have to start now, please. You are so great. I'm so happy that you really support the nuclear deal, but it's not enough. Even if we would bomb Russia, we still have too many people, too much pollution. So we have
She
to
said
get,
even if we bomb Russia, we still have too many people. Interesting. Celestial Wonder says, is it me or has the world gone full psycho? Andrew Munchkin says, please thumbs up the stream to show Tim you appreciate. Yeah, you know what, that actually does help the Al Gore rhythm. Didn't Al Gore claim he invented the internet? All right, I was thinking of Al Goreani because here we are looking at one of his brainwashees, the cult of Al Gore. And Al Gore is no longer palatable. He's not all that telegenic. So they've replaced him with Greta, who might actually be an animatronic avatar of Al Gore himself. Anyway, they finally take the mic after 2 minutes of ranting, but look how close she gets. So AOC is like, okay, you're speaking my language. Come up here. So now here she is 3 feet away from AOC, and she's just like, okay.
With the urgency that it does present. Luckily, we have more than a few months. We do need to hit net zero in several years.
She says, luckily, we do have a few months, and we're going to hit net zero in a few years. Meanwhile, the Poe is back there whining about how we don't have time. They don't know it's a joke. And you know what, she never actually came out and said this was all a joke, but she turned up on some other video unrelated. She was at some Trump rally or something, and someone asked her about it, and all she did was she burst out laughing, and she didn't have the same accent. She hardly even acknowledged it. So it's just kind of a low-key stunt. Maskless Face says, is that Greta Thunberg? This is pre-Greta. All right, John Snyder, I don't know if we can have that kind of comment here. Look, this is all insanity, if you ask me. Maskless Bearface says, man, bear, pig. Yeah, the man, bear, pig, Al Gore. And look, global warming's been around for 33 years. And if you've noticed anything about their patterns, they tend to they do things on a calendar, and they use their occult numerology. They time everything. So if there's going to be anything to global warming, it's going to happen. Probably this year. Well, probably before this summer. All right, let's continue here. I wanted to get back into this topic really quick. So if you're looking at the screen, you're looking at Pete Davidson, who's not going to space on the 23rd, as we had expected. For some reason, he canceled it. And here's a picture where you can see all of his tattoos. We had done a kind of a cursory analysis of it, but there were so many. He's got 70 plus tattoos, and now he's got a brand of Kim Kardashian, her name. And why are we talking about this guy? You'll see. Because I think this is part of a psyop. He might even be, I'm suspecting here, a sacrifice of some kind. It's worth pointing out that his father died on 9/11. So I want to bring your attention to an article by vigilantcitizen.com, and I'm going to put a link in the chat if you want to take a look. Okay, Illuminati Mad, the dark meaning of Kanye West's video Easy. In his video Easy, Kanye West says Illuminati mad while he kidnaps and buries Pete Davidson. What is the meaning of this? So what you're looking at is a video, or a few screen caps from the video, where Kanye West has Pete Davidson's head on the ground and covered in roses, which he's clipping and collecting. And he puts them into a truck. So this is where it gets kind of interesting. And I'm suggesting here that this is a psyop from start to finish, and it's worth noting the connection with the Kardashians and the O.J. Simpson drama. Okay, so if you've seen the video, it features a bloody red-skinned monkey and burning churches, all kinds of things that you saw at the Dawn Day 2 event. But the one I want to focus on here is this. Kanye West holds a severed head. Then you bring in this weird Pete Davidson drama. So he's got Pete Davidson's head, well, actually Pete Davidson's buried up to his head after he's been kidnapped by Kanye in this video. So what does this mean? Well, this is after the weird Halloween season where Kanye was walking around wearing that mask that looked reminiscent of the Halloween Kills mask. He walked around with what Vigilant Citizen describes as punishment haircuts. I don't know if you recall those, but Kanye would show up at places like, I think he went to a McDonald's, and it looked like his hair had been partially cut and they didn't finish it, or he'd been, I don't know, hazed. But he comes out in a mask with what appears to be some kind of a punishment haircut, which I didn't know that was a thing until I watched Ozark, where this family that has control over the opium trade in the area, they kidnap this kid and they give him this really bad haircut as a warning to his parents that they could have done a lot more. So here you have Kanye with what appears to be a punishment haircut, I guess, but my point being, around that time, it looked like he was going through some kind of a breakdown, or it looked like he was in some way about to snap. So this is before the drama with this guy, Pete Davidson, moving in on Kim Kardashian. And this whole thing is kind of I would say it's escalated a bit since they've been exchanging tweets or messages back and forth. And in these back and forth messages, it's kind of been, I guess you could extrapolate from it that maybe Kanye looks like he's about to go a little OJ here. And again, you have this video coming out where he has Pete Davidson buried up to his neck. So if you don't know who Pete Davidson is, he's a strange guy. He's on Saturday Night Live. I listened to one of his comedy skits, or he was on a podcast where he was talking about, in the same breath, he made these really bizarre, sick Pizzagate level comments regarding his father, and then talked about how his father died on 9/11. So you have a second generation crisis actor here. Okay, what's more, he dated Ariana Grande, ex-Disney child star turned industry pawn. Okay, so that's an interesting connection there. She was in Don't Look Up. It's the most recent appearance I've seen of her in a movie where she says something. I think she's also done this in real life. Ariana Grande. She's done songs for NASA. So she's just another one of these characters involved in the world stage. The fact that he's having these high-profile relationships is very interesting to me in itself, because I think he's kind of being put in front of us where we can't help but see him. So this breakdown of the relationship between he and Kanye is very public. So now here's where I'm pointing out in the video, Kanye goes back to where Davidson is buried up to his neck. And now you can see that Davidson is dead. So apparently he's buried alive or something and his head's left out of the ground. But he comes back and he picks the flowers and he puts them in the back of a truck. Nothing weird about that. But now here's where it gets kind of predictive programming level interesting to me. On Valentine's Day, Kanye West sent a black truck to Kim Kardashian's house. The truck on the side says, "My vision is crystal clear." And the bed of the pickup truck is full of roses. So again, this is right out of the video. Roses picked from the grave of Pete Davidson, sending it to her on Valentine's Day. So I'm looking at this as, okay, are we seeing some kind of predictive programming? Are we seeing some kind of setup for another OJ level psyop, some drama? Is he going to go Charlie Manson on the situation? So I'm wondering, well, where's Pete Davidson in all this right now? What is Pete Davidson doing? He was supposed to go to space. So I'm doing my research and I come across this, and this was just a couple of days ago. It turns out Pete Davidson is working on a movie, and it's a horror movie. And so he dies in the movie. So the only picture that I can find of Pete Davidson, right now, what he's doing right now is he's covered in blood. And I'll pull up that picture, but I just think it's fascinating, the timing of all this stuff. The movie's called The House. So he's working on a film called The House, and in the film, apparently he gets sliced to death, stabbed to death, hacked or whatever. And again, I think this does have a pretty strong tie-in to this thread, this storyline of Kanye publicly having this OJ-like meltdown. And I suggested that this is, again, something we might expect based on the Kardashians' proximity to the OJ psychological operation. And I'd said this before, probably about a couple weeks ago, when I first started looking at the story, not knowing that this has been discussed in a few places. A number of people have said they're worried that he's going into OJ territory. So here's a picture of Pete Davidson covered in blood in front of a brick wall, very Masony. Again, this is a picture from just the other day, some kind of movie. So this idea that he's a human sacrifice to be possible, maybe some kind of, like, I'm thinking it has to do with this bigger story of the West, the decadent West, its worship of celebrities, and I think what we're supposed to be taking out of this is some kind of a lesson about maybe how much influence we give to superficial people or something, but the celebrity worship is going to have a bad ending. That's kind of what I'm predicting here. And I think they'll do it in a very spectacular way. And what could be better than Kanye West's world burning? Having him literally just tear everything down, which is what it looks like, especially now that they're moving into formal custody arrangements, and it's looking ugly. The Vigilant Citizen article goes more into detail about it, but that's mostly just a heads up. Illuminati mad, the dark meaning of Kanye West's video Easy. Pete Shea says Pete Davidson's father, Scott Matthew Davidson, was 33 when he died on September the 11th, 2021. See, that's why we have the Discord open 24/7. This is why we like having the chat open, because these are things that, little details, puzzle pieces, that require a lot of people looking in a lot of places to dig up. So I appreciate that, Pete Shea. Pete Davidson's father being 33, very, very conspicuous. Now he's 28. Okay, let's see what else. Jared Boris says she dated him right after she was with Mac Miller, who some fans blamed for his death. Okay, now Mac Miller, you said death. I don't think he's dead. You got to look at the last picture that he ever took alive. There's a documentary about it. It's the story of Mac Miller's final photo. There's a whole documentary about it, but this picture should tell you everything. M.M. Mac Miller. You know, M.M. is you see M.M. 33 WWEE. In symbolism, you'll see this same thing represented in many different ways. The all-seeing eye is his final picture. So again, this is Mac Miller, and there's a whole documentary about this picture. It's called The Story of Mac Miller's Final Photo. And if you look, it's just one of these all-seeing eye photos with a cross on it. Make of that what you will, but to me this just has all the hallmarks of just being another high-profile hoax. Okay, oh yeah, Ariana Grande. Look, all the PSYOP actors, they all hang out together. PSYOP Entertainment Complex is the phrase that I've started using. You know, you have military industrial complex. No, it's PSYOP Entertainment Complex. Victoria says, really, I just don't keep up with these people. You know, I don't either, but I keep up with the stories, but I don't have enough time to follow every one of these. That's why we have to rely on a think tank. All right, let's see. Pete Shea says, does Scott Davidson remind anyone else of actor Vince Vaughn? Show me some pictures, post them in Discord. We'll take a look. All right, let's go ahead and continue. We are going through my notes on the dark meaning of Kanye West's video Easy. A couple of other things. So he's hanging out with Marilyn Manson. And we talked about this yesterday. Look, the story about Marilyn Manson right now is a hoax, and I can prove it. We made the case yesterday pretty well, I would say. There's a video that would actually make the case for me, but it's called Overneath the Path of Misery. And you got to see this clip, because this is key here. So the video that is being canceled, or there's some kind of a petition to have it pulled, is called Heart-Shaped Glasses. The video is based on Lolita, a Kubrick film. Now, That video is the subject of a controversy because the star of the video, Evan Wood, also Dolores in Westworld, is claiming that she was raped during the filming of the video. Well, 3 years after that video was filmed, Marilyn Manson releases Overneath the Path of Misery. And in this video, there's a chorus where he says, Persephone, the rape of Persephone, Persephone. And he repeats this. And then he says the rape of Persephone was a marketing scheme. So I thought, okay, that's really interesting because it seems like on the world stage, this Evan Wood is something of a Persephone. She's a Virgo personified, and she's played this role in many. Lolita is an example, or the movie 13, or the movie Running with Scissors. All these movies where she's a 13-year-old who's being abused. That's not a coincidence. This is about a virgin, Virgo, sacrifice, and that's what happens at the altar. That's what happens in this video. Heart-shaped glasses. Oh, that's what she's alleging really happened, but that's the story. Now, in the video, Overneath the Path of Misery, it actually references that very scene. And this video came out 3 years later. So 3 years after that alleged rape, he puts it in another video and calls it Rape Persephone. And then you can see it's a clip. It's only a few clips from that video. And then he specifically uses the phrase, it was all just a marketing scheme, which looks very consistent with the bigger story here. So again, this is this to me is a dead giveaway. Or look, it's one of two things. It's either what I'm suggesting, that this is a psyop top to bottom, or B, marketing scheme. So it's either that or this video is evidence of a crime and he's just gloating about it or something. There's no way you would reference it in a second video and not have this also brought up in the same conversations. So I'm suggesting that no, we're looking at a top to bottom, and there's even more. There's a lot more with this particular world stage actor and the bigger story. In fact, one of his videos, it was Coma White, where he plays the role of JFK being assassinated. Its release was delayed because it was timed too close to the death of JFK Jr. Well, the video, strangely enough, is about this QAnon story, which is new. But the video is from 1999. But it's about the idea that JFK was the second coming of Christ. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. Art of Thinking Out Loud, Live Common Sense Analytics has joined us. The Misting says, also connected to Hades, which is Pluto. Yeah, let's talk about that for just a moment here. So Persephone's kidnapped by Hades. And what that means is when we go into the fall, Virgo goes into the underworld. So it's about the autumn equinox. That's why they found Gabby Petito on the autumn equinox. On the 22nd of September, they found her because she represents Virgo, and then she's going into the underworld, death, Hades. So, again, this is, to me, this is all very much pertinent to her story, being called Persephone here. And this would cast him in the role of what? Hades. So there he is at the Dawn Day 2 event, Marilyn Manson hanging out with Kanye on the day of Pluto returns. And again, Pluto is Hades. Very intricately connected if you look at just the stories here, like the actual the key points they bring out. And the Hades-Pluto connection is even further deepened when you look at the Dawn Day 2 album was produced by Future, who goes by Pluto. Going through your comments. Oh, one more thing. Hades releases the Kraken. Keep that in mind. And all this talk about the crack pipes Biden's releasing, and now Hunter Biden's crack pipes back in the news, and all this talk about crack corresponding with the Kraken talk, and then all of a sudden we have this, Pluto returns, and it's just, to me, I'm like, okay, I think this is a sign. It's a sign, well, kind of like the Great Reset was coordinated with the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction. Pete Shea says 343 firefighters died on 9/11. 343 equals 7 times 7 times 7. Well, that's interesting. My third eye says, I read the lyrics to Dope Show, and it sounds like a message to fellow entertainers about being part of the Dupe Show. The Dupe Show. Very interesting. Well, I get the idea that some of these high-level entertainers are they're deep enough in that they have information, that they know what is fake. In terms, like, for example, Marilyn Manson's connection with the Columbine shootings. Like, I'm pretty sure we're looking at insiders because he's instrumental in building up the myth of the bowl cut shooter. Like the trench coat mafia thing was like the start of that. All right. Now, one more thing here. And this is again, I think this is all part of how we can discern that we're looking at a script. So the idea of Persephone going into the underworld. Well, Persephone is the personification of Virgo. So let me bring this up really quick. So in other words, when we enter the fall is when she goes under. In the sky, the constellation Virgo personifies Persephone. Well, the first thing that Marilyn Manson, according to Evan Wood, the first thing that he said to her in the documentary, he walks up to her, she's on a balcony, and he says, "Don't fall." So I hear this and I'm like, wait, she remembers the first thing that he said to her, "Don't fall." And then he kidnaps her as Hades and takes her to this other world. And just like in Westworld, where she was imprisoned by the Man in Black, in real life she's in Marilyn Manson's world, and then you have the ambigram WWMM. It's the same narrative. We went into this at length yesterday, and we'll get back into it as well. There's a lot developing around this story, but yeah, this Dawn Day 2 event on the 22nd has been really the focus of a lot of our conversations for the last month because of the characters it involves, but also because of the symbolism and the timing. Van Gogh says, on the Dawn Day album, the song featuring Marilyn Manson is called Jail, and the chorus goes, "Guess who's going to jail tonight?" Interesting lyrics too, like violence in the night. Right. See, what I'm thinking too is this Phoenix Rising documentary coming out right now is highly significant because it brings back the Charles Manson thing. You had Charles Manson, Helter Skelter. You had Charlie's Angels doing the killings. You find out about all the brainwashed victims of Charles Manson. Well, now that's happening right now with Marilyn Manson. And here he is publicly associating with Kanye West, who's about to go OJ. I'm like, maybe this isn't the type of person you want to be around right now. It looks like a setup. It looks like we're looking at an evolving story. Let me bring up one more thing. At that Dawn Day 2 event, Elon Musk showed up, and he's wearing a shirt that says crypto. A couple of things about this. He's one of the richest men on earth, according to the stories. If you believe all the news and everything. So that's one point I want to bring up. You got one of the richest individuals on earth showing up at this event, which is timed with the Pluto return. So I'm looking at this event as more or less having everything to do with Pluto. It's not about Kanye. It's not about these celebrities. It's about this bigger celestial event. And so he shows up with a shirt that says crypto, and I'm thinking this is fascinating because Pluto's the god of wealth because of the mineral wealth of the earth beneath the ground. So the god of the underworld is wealthy, and the color associated with him is purple. He carries a two-pronged spear, a bident. But anyway, richest man in the world hanging out here wearing a shirt that says crypto got me thinking about the word crypto and crypt, which has everything to do with the underworld, or rather something that is hidden. Just something to note here, another noteworthy picture is Musk hanging out with Kanye, and Musk has an orange on his shirt, and Kanye's got an orange jacket. Just bringing this up because I'm looking at typecasting, and I get the sense that we're looking at, O.J. Simpson, the juice is loose, they say. They let him out in December. The Kardashian connection. I'm just looking at this thing, and I'm thinking, are we going to see some other Manson-esque or even OJ-like scenario unfolding. And again, you would, this is not just conspiracy conjecture, because we now have this evolving story with Pete Davidson, and he's working on a film called The Home. Very interesting when you get into the whole Manson thing and the house where it happened. That house is on sale, by the way. You know, the house where the Manson killings happened? Well, it's for sale for $58 million. The creator of Full House owns the Beverly Hills estate. When we're getting into this storyline and the symbolism, you should note too that house is a way of describing an astrological house, you know, and the sign in the zodiac. And we're entering a new age, a new house. So the old house has to go. And I think there's some connection here also to Charles Manson. And the idea of Aquarius is the sign of the man. So it's the man's sun, is how it's been described to me by one expert on astrotheology. It was Micah Dank said this. He said, you're talking about man's sun. Aquarius is man's sun because it's in the sign of the man. And you can extrapolate from that also Charles Manson's Helter Skelter End of the World story. And by the way, I think he was 33 when he started recruiting his cult following. But anyway, the creator of Full House owns that house, owns the Manson, well, the house with the Beverly Hills estate where the Manson murders took place. Something else about this, just Bob Saget, Full House, died of a head wound. Like, what's with the head injuries? All these comedians. Yeah, the comedian Joy Behar, she fell. Is she a comedian? It was funny. I mean, it's funny, not funny, but she's just talking about how she's never going to take off her mask. You know, she's totally with the program. These people, they brag about their vax status, holier than thou, and they take these public falls. And it's like ironic, is what I should say. So, is it connected that you've got Heather McDonald falls and she hits her head, Joy Behar falls and hits her head, then you've got Bob Saget falling and hitting his head and dying. Then you have Joe Rogan, another comedian, taking something of a fall. Like, there's been a theme here. So now Pete Davidson enters the world stage, and he's caught up in this drama, working on a film called The House. Meanwhile, Kanye's going off about this murder fantasy, and he's hanging out with Marilyn Manson, today's Charles Manson. I mean, it's a nice package. It's a nice, tightly wrapped up story here, if you ask me. I'll check out that song, Guess Who's Going to Jail Tonight. Very fascinating. Tominoid says, Smells Like Children is the first EP by American rock band Marilyn Manson. CGI Joe listens to it when he sniffs them. Oh man, that'd be a great compilation. Smells Like Children. Yeah, that's also very Pizzagate-y. And when I saw the Dope Show album cover, I was thinking, maybe it's not Dupe Show. There's another anagram you could get out of dope. And you get into the idea of mutual blackmail, which is something that looks like Manson was a part of, filming people. Who knows? Who knows? And there's just so much you can go into. But you have the intentionality behind the art of just shocking people. So just because somebody has something shocking in their music, I don't assume that's what they're into. All right, let me continue through the comments. The Missing says, Kanye saying love lockdown. He's been a part of so many psyops. Yes. Exactly. So I'm suggesting that these are puppets. They're puppets who are basically living movies in front of us. It's a script. So there's no autonomy. So what you're seeing is what you're meant to see, and I'm looking at the storyline and following its trajectory. And based on the storyline as it's been presented, yeah, I'm thinking we're about to witness some kind of a Manson-esque event. Tony Driscoll left this comment last night. He said, I just read that Marilyn Manson did a title theme for one of the Resident Evil movies. The movie's about pandemics and zombies. I found it interesting, but no coincidences that would connect him to that predictive programming. So my response is, we have Alice in Wonderland. This is a connection. Evan Wood and Marilyn Manson were working on something called some Alice in Wonderland project. And the Resident Evil movie, where Marilyn Manson did some music for them, is about the Looking Glass house. And the main character's name is Alice, and she protects it. So you do have this, and it's also this underground thing, subterranean. Quite a lot there. You also have Raccoon City, which is sort of an anagram for Corona, very close to Wuhan. Check out this headline from The Independent. How Pete Davidson became the center of everything. And they have his head poked through the rings of Saturn, which might have some implications if you look at Saturn as the Reaper. Halloween Kills. Speaking of that movie, Mike Myers, that's a Saturnian character dressed in black with a knife. The reason they bring him out on Halloween is that's the season of the harvest. The Grim Reaper, Father Time, the scythe is a tool of the harvest. It's about the cycles of life and death. So the fact that the Independent has this image of Pete Davidson with his head through the rings of Saturn means his time is up. And he's 28, going on 29 or so. It's his Saturn return. So I think his time is coming. Add to that his connection to 9/11. So here's the title of this article: How Pete Davidson Became the Center of Absolutely Everything, Between Kim and Kanye, 9/11, and now Jeff Bezos. The comedian sits at the heart of a Venn diagram of American culture. Flat Fact says zodiacal houses are also called mansions. Portal says, isn't 13 prominent in the Metascript? Oh, yes. Yeah, 13 is huge. After 9/11, they took 13 years to put the new building up, opened it up on 113. 13 is the number of resurrection. It's the death in the tarot card, the card of associated with Scorpio. But in the tarot, death is about, like in the sense of Saturn, about a harvest. It's not a permanent state. It's a phase, or it's a part of on a journey. Die, rebirth, recycle, plant a new crop. All right, let me continue through the comments. The commenter says, are we going into Aquarius on the day the sky has all the planets in that one house? It's kind of debatable when we got into Aquarius. Some say 2012, some say it started 2000. I'm not too sure. But the point is, we are entering into a new age, and the new age movement is synonymous with this. And what they call it, the deep occultists, the ones who actually rule this place, the Thelemites, they call it the age of Horus, the age of Mars. It's in their books. And when you read their books, everything makes a lot more sense. They're talking about this is the age where they tear down the patriarchal crucified sun god, and he gets replaced by the androgynous child, crowned to conquer, a child ruler, the child being a metaphor, I guess, for the new age isn't going to have any of the baggage of the old age. None of their programming. It's a blank slate. That's why they brought out Greta. They call it the Great Reset. The occultists call it the Great Work. It's all about the Great Reset, the Great Work. It's about starting the new age off right. And you got to get rid of the old first. That's why it's a revolution. That's why it's all about burning down the old to build back better. So when they brought out Greta, I don't think it's a coincidence that she comes out to proclaim the objectives of the Great Reset, because it is the Greta Reset. It's just a simple anagram, but they call it the Great Work, Greta Work. And the main god of the New Age is the androgynous Horus. And anytime you look at Greta, you see her making the sign of Horus, the one eye symbol, every single time. And this is since she was a child. Well, she's always been she's a child actor now, but when she was like 3 years old, she's hanging out with her parents, and she's making the same sign. Why is that? It's pretty obvious. You look at the Green Agenda, the New Age Agenda, this one world global governance thing. You tie it into World War Zero, Great Reset, the Great Work, the New Age, the crowned and conquering child that would proclaim the New Age, denouncing the previous generations and their gods. And Of course, speaking to the whole world, the UN. I would think she fits. I contend. And of course, this is right before Corona, the crown. So my contention has been since really since Greta first emerged on the world stage, is that you're actually looking at the crowned and conquering child described by Aleister Crowley. That would be the herald, or the one who would announce the objectives of the new age, the age of Horus. I mean, it could all be thousands of coincidences, but no, I don't think so. It's also not a joke or coincidence that she's got the same birthday as Kyle Rittenhouse. Same birthday. Pete Davidson was making jokes about having intercourse with... Oh, gross. Yeah, Art of Thinking Out Loud's pointing out Pete Davidson is Pizza Davidson. I've been calling him Pizzagate Davidson. Quote, jokes. You know, I don't think they're jokes just because you add a laugh track. They say the most disgusting, inhumane things. And they put a laugh track, and we're supposed to laugh. No, there's no jokes when you're talking about victimizing innocents. And that's what they specialize in. And all these people are pizza gators. Even Jimmy Fallon has been associated with, grooming. You know, everything that they're... This is just all insane. We know what these people are. Hey, check this out. The American people won't believe anything until they've seen it on TV. President Nixon said that. How true is that? All right, let me see. Let's continue. I'm going through... Oh, look at this. Pete Shea says, Tim, that Pete Davidson image you posted reminds me of Michael Jackson's Escape cover. Okay, so the Escape cover, I remember when I was looking into Saturnian symbolism, I noticed at that time that Michael Jackson makes use of all this stuff. And yeah, sure enough, the Escape album cover does have Michael Jackson poking his head through the rings of Saturn or something very similar to that effect. X-scape. Now this is deep. X-scape. Because X is Saturn. X is a cross. It's the 24th letter, which is very significant when you get into how they use numbers, like 24 and 42 interchangeably to reference Saturn, or the X. The cross, which is an unfolded cube. Fascinating. And of course, this preceded his death hoax. So, yeah, I would say that independent cover that I was pointing out, that headline with Pete Davidson, yeah, I would say that this is basically saying, yeah, this guy's about to go. Just like his father, who died at 33. Unbelievable. Frank Zen sent this comment to me yesterday. There's also a Charles Manson docudrama being produced on Netflix right now. Yeah, what are the odds? And check this out. Marilyn Manson responds to criticism of fake assault rifle stage prop. So he's on stage pretending to shoot people at the same time that 26 were shot in that church in South Texas. Last night at his concert, Marilyn Manson pointed an assault rifle with a microphone at a crowd in San Bernardino, California. He took a lot of criticism for the stunt, being it was the same day as a mass shooter killing 26 people in a rural Texas city. So anyway, I'm bringing this up because from the very get-go, Manson has been a part of the PSYOP entertainment complex, and the more I look, the more I'm finding. And the idea of the Columbine shooters, the bowl cut shooters, subsequently you had Dylan Storm Roof. The storm is coming. You know, the guy who really made the bowl cut the symbol of the far right fringe school shooters. This is all stuff that was built up with the help of Marilyn Manson and his artistic mischaracterization of America. You know, these artists, they hold up, they say, this is a mirror. This is what America is really about. Same with Netflix. All these movies, they want you to think that life is following art, that we're just seeing a reflection of ourselves. And no, it's a big funhouse mirror. That's what the mass media has always been. All right, let me see. Commenters. Dumb shit says Pluto is near planet X. Napoleon Wilson, we're going to have to look into this person here. If you're going to make Pizzagate comments, don't be surprised if you have some penguins knocking at your door. You know, this channel, this is true. And I'm not going to delve into this now, but this channel exposed a ring of abusers, rather a network of people who were just bizarre connections like you wouldn't believe. Like you would, the Bible Flat Earth Society, the Biblical Flat Earth Society's founder is in jail right now for child trafficking, and he did documentaries with the now supposedly deceased Rob Skiba. They did flat Earth movies. He did flat Earth. I'm talking about a child predator, a guy who's going to serve a long time in prison, Philip Stallings. He did documentaries with the guy who organized the Flat Earth Conference, another Davidson, or Robbie Davidson. So I'm like, wait, what are these guys doing hanging out with a guy who's now in jail after this movement started and they have their conferences and he was at their first conference and they haven't even mentioned it? Then you find out that some of their speakers are sex offenders, pedos on parole. And we've exposed this stuff. So I'm just saying, whenever I see people making weird, disgusting jokes like that in the comments, I don't take it lightly because more often than not, these creatures give themselves away. That's why I'm calling Pete Davidson Peter Davidson, Pizza Davidson, Pizza Davidson, just like Matt Pizzagates. And you know, I think I was right about Matt Pizzagates. All right, let's see here. I have a video if you want to watch it. I'll put a link in the chat. This is a collection of Saturn/cube symbolism throughout the world right now, and it describes, you know, how you can correlate the cube with the six-pointed star, and just how the different ways they represent the same exact symbols, and then how it ties into the numerology. And one thing I want to point out is I think that the character of Saturn, Death, Kronos, Moloch, all the various ways of representing him, as you can see in this video, you see Saturn devouring his child. You've got Kronos eating his child. There's Moloch. This is the one by Goya, Moloch or Saturn devouring his child. Again, what is a symbol? This is a very grotesque thing. But what I wanted to point out, though, is that Abraham taking his son up to the hill to slash its throat, and then he stops. Abraham with the knife or with the scythe, about to kill his child. Yeah, that's another Saturn archetype. You know, I consider it, that's why you see the six-pointed star associated with the Abrahamic faith. That's why you have the cross. And this, let me play a short clip here because this is getting really interesting. I mean, even in their fakery, they reveal their symbolism. Like when NASA shows you the top of Saturn and it has a six-pointed hexagram. Yeah, it's all about maintaining their symbolism and keeping it consistent. I'm going to play a short clip. This is Symbolism 101, Black Cube Saturn Occult.
In the scheme of things, it really doesn't matter. If your intention is to know Christ and to know God, then you will...
Now, this is sort of a religious person. I skip over that, but I'm just into the research. And look, I'll get my research from anywhere. I don't discount someone because I don't care for their conclusions. And this individual does some great research, even though he's something of a Kool-Aid drinker.
To the occult. And again, when you see a cross, like the Celtic crosses, that have a circle in the middle of them, it's more Saturn symbolism. It just actually encompasses the feminine into the masculine sign of the X, which creates a duality type of symbolism. Now, let's jump back to the three-dimensional depiction of the square, the cube, which derives from the hexagon. If we were to draw a star, and remember, Saturn is the planetary representation of a star, if we were to draw a star using the hexagon, we will get a hexagram. It's exactly how it sounds. Hexagram comes from a hexagon. They all start with hex, which all mathematically represent 6. The hexagon has 6 sides. The hexagram has 6 points, so on and so forth. But the hexagram is the symbol used in black magic. It comes from the Jewish Kabbalah, Jewish magic. It is a symbol of dark summoning. For the occult, if you want to put a hex on somebody, or if you want to have a spirit come forth.
Anyway, this is some very interesting material. I'd also like to point out a couple of other things about this, because it's been reintroduced today. We have a modern iteration of it, and it's the green god, the god of the earth, being reintroduced to us with environmentalism, but it's all the same earth worship. And that's why when you look at your recycling symbol, you see 3 nails to represent the nailing to the cross of the crucified, resurrecting sun god. Then you have the, of course, you could look at the negative space, and this is what I want to point out. Look at the negative space within the recycling symbol, and you can make out the 6-pointed star. Again, it's Osiris, it's Saturn, it's the original vegetation god. Green, I mean, you see black associated with Saturn, but also green when it comes to this vegetation god, because you're talking about the god of the earth, death, and then resurrection. Green is the new life. Resurrection, death, recycling of souls. The recycling symbol is actually a symbol of the god of death and resurrection, the earth god. So every time you go out and you recycle, you're actually genuflecting before an altar. That's not a recycling bin. It's not a dumpster. That's an altar to the earth god. You're separating your sins. You're confessing. You're showing, well, these choices were bad, but these ones were good. They're sustainable. And so it's all just a religious observance. It's Baal worship. Baal, another name of the same god. And that's why you have the recycling so much associated with saving the earth. You're worshiping Baal. Anyway, this has been great. We'll be back later to we'll take some phone calls later, and I have some voicemails to respond to. I'm going to go ahead and put on the screen a picture of bloodied Pete Davidson. We really talked about Pete Davidson almost more than anything today because it's getting close. I think we're getting close to some kind of a finale. Let me go ahead and read the comments one more time. Make sure I haven't missed anything. All right, let's see. Andrew says they mock the Abrahamic faith. Yeah, look, I'm just looking at the symbols and the iconography. I can't really, I don't have any inside information. I haven't met any of these characters in any of these books. To me, it's all symbolism. None of it's original. Noah, let me bring up one more. Noah isn't original, but just really quick, the atheists, the people who laugh at the Bible, the godless, the ones who think it's all just archaic nonsense and superstition, yeah, well, they're scared to death of a modern flood myth. And they don't know it's a myth. They think it's science. But they don't even hide it. NASA, they don't even hide the fact that they are reintroducing this vengeful, judgy God. And that's why they've introduced the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration as just a replacement Noah myth. It's called Noah. The symbol of the dove is Noah's symbol. They use arcs, they have flood imagery, and they're always there to tell us. If there's any flood happening, Noah will warn you. You can find articles, you search Noah's warning of a flood, and you find all these scientific articles. Flood warning, again, this is just, to me, this is not a coincidence. NOAA National Severe Storms Laboratory. And they don't tell you on their site. They don't say, oh, we ripped this off of the Bible. Oh, this is some Old Testament stuff. Oh, no, we're just appropriating powerful religious archetypes. No, they don't tell you that. It's subliminal. It's not meant for us to note these things. I think it's all just, it's part of a replacement faith, a replacement religion. Last night we were talking about aliens and how I believe aliens are how they reintroduced the concept of angels, a sort of perfected man, to the atheists. It's a perfect end to the story of the Darwinian struggle of ape to man, and now are we going to go back to ape, or are we going to make it to something higher? And aliens are that something higher. They're basically grays. They're bland. They're generic. They all look the same. They're all genderless, just sort of bland collectivists. What we're all heading into. Victoria Panda says, does Noah use ark symbology? Look, you'll find ark symbolism all over Noah, all over NASA, all over Elon Musk. They use the ark everywhere. The movie Moonfall I reviewed recently, Roland Emmerich, he did a movie called Ark. Space arcs. Wall-E, the Pixar film that they program children with. Wall-E is a modern story of Noah with a communist revolution thrown in. Anyway, this is the official Flat Earth International Anthem by Lucifer Tim. We'll be back later on today. Sign up for the newsletter. Join the Patreon if you want to have first watches of any of the new 10-minute videos I'm going to be releasing soon from the Metascript Decodes series. So I'll put a link there. Thanks again, everyone, for the support and for keeping this channel going. And we'll be open phones late tonight. Again, this is
At Firehouse Subs, a portion of
Lucifer Tim. One more thing here. My third eye says, I'm sorry, I have a few more comments I want to go through. My third eye's pointing out something about the dove as a symbol on the Empress card after the priestess. Okay, and Lacey May's asking, where are the replays? Okay, so the replays, let me point this out. I'm going to put the replays at infiniteplane.radio just to make it easy. So go infiniteplane.radio, and if you get on the newsletter, you will be getting all of the latest archives direct to your inbox. So the best way to get in touch, stay in touch, remain in the know is just to get on the newsletter. All right, anyway, thanks for hanging out. We'll be back later. Again, this is Lucifer Tim.
Looking pretty serious, synchronizations, cooking up a terror storm. It was always bound to happen.